Welcome friends, welcome to this session of integrated marketing communication, a vibrant subject which you would have realized till now. I am not sure if I have been able to make it so vibrant as it should be, but the subject nevertheless is beautiful, and I have always been saying it is a mesmerizing kind of a subject. Today, or this section rather, it's almost history in terms of almost the history of integrated marketing communication. Where did it start, how did it start, more or less, and then association of everything with respect to brand attitude, and then something about advertising world, advertising agencies, their history and so on. So it's more or less history now for a short while, because it's very important for me to take you there for a short while, because you must realize that how it started happening and how it was realized that integrated marketing communication should be focusing upon the development of brand attitude or whatever functions we have thought of till now. Because after this I would be moving towards planning, and there we would be becoming more specific, how to go for deciding on which kind of advertisements should we go for and how, and then subsequently we would be moving into modes as I have been telling you. So let's entertain ourselves with some of historical accounts in terms of integrated marketing communication first, and then start realizing on how it is related to brand building at large. So you see, rise of advertising has been always, it has been associated with rise of capitalism, rise of business perspective and so on. But rise of capitalism has been an ongoing process, and if you will realize and you will read about the historical journey of integrated marketing communication and advertising, you would realize that when it got, the capitalism got impetus, then also advertising accompanied capitalism, and today it is again getting impetus. For past few decades you have realized that capitalism has gone towards globalization and so on. So it has taken a globalized shape rather, and advertising and integrated marketing communication is actually accompanying that. So I would not say that it rose because of capitalism, or actually it accompanied capitalism, because capitalism or let us say capital infusion in the economy, it raised the demand, and not only to generate the demand as we have seen already, but to match the demand with the supply, with the goods available, or bringing in the goods and making the customer aware, all through integrated marketing communication has been playing a wonderful role. So just do not feel that I want to say that capitalism rose once, it is rising and integrated marketing communication is going along, and definitely it brings in competition for resources, competition all through. I would not go into that, but specifically we know that every product is competing for a space, and there resource and product competition all together, there comes in a demand and supply situation, and then goods and services have to be accompanied with their messages. So capitalism and advertising goes hand in hand, and historically whenever these kind of situations they have come in, so just mark those, just look into the period and eras when it happened, how it happened, and then you would realize that there are spurts which are accompanied by lots of integrated marketing communication infusion, and that can be fetched through any of the statistical databases, wherein you would realize the ad spend has risen. Then, but I am taking you through and through. So then came in industrial revolution, It's still happening actually, it's still happening. Economies of scales, they are going, you know, larger now. We all know specific countries have become hubs for production and industrial development in due course of time. People are moving from this place to that place just for increasing the production levels. Today we have reached to a situation wherein organizations are manufacturing per second kind of speed, basically, these many seconds one product, one finished product is out actually. So that is again a different kind of an industrial revolution is going on. But I am talking of that industrial revolution which came in, late 1800 something and then went all through in 1900 something and so on, and we will just see the dates also. So there mass production in goods, definitely again relationship with demand and so on, because you are producing so much, you want to tell people what we are producing and how people should be consuming that, because consumption would never happen to that levels which are desired if awareness levels are not there, and we all understand integrated marketing communication plays a specific role. And in due course of time, because competition from all the sides was coming in for organizations, you may take 2 or 3 for example, you may take one industry to understand this, and you would realize then they specifically required their positioning and recognition in the minds of the customer, and then emergence of branding came in as a requirement, as a need. And then rise of modern mass media, and it is happening once again. You see, whatever historically we have been looking at in due course of time, it is happening now once again. So I do not know, it is periodical or just because of technological changes or globalization or whichever way you want to look at it, or the production processes which we have initiated and we have established, somehow things are back. Capitalism also, it is on the different trajectory. We have lots of startups now. So and in every sphere, industrial development also, and branding again has taken a different kind of a trajectory, wherein lots of efforts are being spent on by organizations to brand themselves in service sector, in product and service sector, and we have talked about it in last few sections, wherein I broke things into scenarios: product and service, organizations with product and service and so on. You remember I talked about Patanjali and so on. So now I will talk about, although I should be talking about more or less whole of the world, dividing it into continents and coming to India, but I do not want you to put you there through a very long journey of historical perspective. If you want to understand that so deeply, definitely you should refer to some standard books, and my favorite is, I have been telling you, so Semenuk, Allen and Ogun and Kaufman, and then you can refer to that. So there you will find a chapter specifically on this, and then there are other chapters also. There are very good popular chapters associated with history of advertising and integrated marketing communication. So I will be focusing on USA. Now that country specifically participated more intensely after a particular stage, although industrial revolution more or less got impetus in Europe also at the same time, but USA was aggressive. This part of the world was also aggressive, but USA was very aggressive, and they actually produced lot many goods, and today we find n number of brands belonging to USA, although Europe has, again I would say, participated well. So I would be focusing slightly more on this country, and then as I said, you can think in terms of Russia also, this part of the world also, Japan also, and you see France and Italy, they have been fashion hubs, so their different kind of advertising and brand promotion has been always taking place in due course of time. United Kingdom, they have been pursuing different kinds of industrial revolution before anyone else, I remember, but we are talking in terms of relationship to integrated marketing communication. So here there was a stage pre 1800 something, wherein handbills and news books they appear. So people used to organizations, institutions and products, they used to tell people about printed handbills kind of. They used to write and then they used to print or they used to tell people, and those were distributed. That is a very common practice now as well. The place where I am sitting, local shopkeepers, they definitely insert handbills, and their people, representatives, they distribute those handbills everywhere now and then, wherever you go. Even in I was passing by pre-COVID stage, I was passing by Delhi, I was going to the airport, and I was passing by a newly constructed building, and someone was distributing the handbills about the building as well, some brochure as well. So these are, you see, since 1800 something, today we are in 2021, handbills is a very common kind of a thing, and it's continuously flowing. This particular thing is accompanying us, and I will be talking of support media later on. Then I will be talking of these kind of elements briefly once again. So, and early ads resembled today's classified advertisements. So, text was there, description was there, and so on. And I remember someone said that classifieds are basically practically cash rolled onto your doorstep. So classified ads, they have very specific value, wherein you want specific information and you will find it there. But those days, because there was a paucity of the ways and means to print in beautiful pictures or photograph and merge those things and so on, so technological support was not there. So classified advertisements was the most important method actually. Then, as we were talking of, came in industrialization, era of industrialization, and daily newspapers started growing because people were looking forward to lots of news, what is happening around, which of the organizations are coming up, what are the policies which are are being developed by government and so on, what is happening nationally, internationally and so on, and daily newspapers, they started becoming stronger, and you will find so many names. You will just go and surf to the history of newspapers, you will find that. Railroads started coming in, transportation has definitely given an impetus on as far as the flow of news, because news was physically carried those days. It is not like that you just punch in and it flows. It had to be taken, and if I am not wrong, Reuters, they utilized pigeons for shifting news from this place to that place, and that was locally printed. So I remember that somewhere, I read it somewhere basically. So that was historical, when they used to transport pigeons on trains, and those pigeons were flown back from that place to this place, news hanging in their necks. Beautiful. I remember an Indian movie wherein message was sent in by the actor to the actress through pigeon basically. It is a popular song also. I don't remember that song, but it is a song there. So and advertising was considered an embarrassment by someone basically. I will not go into that basically, because somehow it was new, people do not know how to receive it, people do not know how to project the right kind of advertisements, probably that was the reason. But that was the initial most phase. Today advertising has come a long way, wherein you just can't think of developing a brand without integrated marketing communication. Remember Dove? Wonderful example of a product reaching to the customers just because of integrated marketing communication. A soap and a cream, I do not know what it is, but people say that integrated marketing communication has worked for this product to take it to the levels and the heights wherein customer was involved at largest of the levels, and through interactive advertising and so on, and lots of TV advertisements have also flown in, and newspaper, they utilize almost everything, and you just go into that story. Dove is a successful story in terms of utilization of integrated marketing communication for building brand equity. So then comes in 1875 to 1918, wherein consumer culture, that is, people are becoming more aware, they want to purchase more things, they are going for stage shows and movies and so on, and they are enjoying, so they are spending money, soft drinks are there, and wafers are there, and you want to tell people. So lots of products are available in the market, and you have to tell them. So, and here advertising itself becomes an industry, because you have larger number of players here, and they are playing very specific different kinds of roles, and we will see in subsequent sections how advertising industry was actually playing this role. 1920s made things more interesting, wherein advertising or communication became an accepted mode, and products could not do well without communication. You did not expect products then to do fine without communication, because somehow if you would not communicate, your competitor, wherein competition was rising from all the sides in all the industries, your competitor would pitch in. And you see, there you bring in models also. You are going for visuals, photographs definitely, but here if you will watch those advertisements, newspaper advertisements, and billboards and those kind of, you would realize pictures or sketches or symbols or those kind of things, they have started flowing in by that time. And stars who are recognized, models who are recognized, and recognizable figures from the society and entertainment, they are coming in. And you see, social class, rise of social classes, that also was playing a role, but I would not go into specific details of that. Individually, I have not been very, I have not been motivated to talk about class differentiation, those kind of things, but again, as I said earlier also, it is a reality. One can think of that with the marketing perspective for segmenting the market, not just for any other reason. And I will be talking about these kind of things in ethics of integrated marketing communication later on, wherein I would denounce how we should not be demarketing the society as such. Then suddenly came in the depression era. You have many documentaries on this, or related to recession and depression, economic depression nowadays. I think the latest documentary, or a documentary which is now Netflix is actually projecting, is Inside Job, which talks about recession in 2007-8, and then there have been several, Too Big to Fail, and Wizard of Lies is a movie, and there are so many things, but those are related to 2007-2008. This depression era came in between 1929 to 1941, and there have been several depression eras, but not so globally spread kind of depressions, which wherein this was a very largely spread depression, and 2007-8 definitely had long repercussions. And COVID, although I should not say brought in economic depression, but definitely it actually compelled several economies to recede back and to fight hard. So we have yet to know that what kind of repercussions it had brought in, and we will go through that data later on, and we might also wonder on what kind of role integrated marketing communication would play in bringing out companies from these kind of depressions, or let us say COVID like situation. So that depression was brutal. Big businesses, they got beating, and advertising turns to be harsh, anxiety created ads, they started pouring in, because it was related to the social or socio-cultural change which it was going through. And that was the time when radio became in a very massive mode. And remember, radio was a very massive mode till recently. Today it has taken a different kind of a shape in the form of FM, which is popular for last 3 decades or so. India definitely is is seeing that for past 10-12 years, if I remember, but universally FM has been very popular all through this world. And then late 80s, or let us say all through 80s, 90s, FM got a huge impetus. Universities, they started putting up their own channels those days, and they had their individual channels, and students, they used to manage those channels, and they still are doing that. So every university institution, they have their own FM channel, and they play songs, they discuss about things and so on and whatever. So radio definitely has been occupying a very different kind of a place, and shortwave has played a beautiful role basically, and so has the advertising associated with that, and medium wave definitely, so for middle range kind of, and this range decided the kind of message to be reached to a specific customer within that particular kind of a range. So you see, reach of media definitely matters a lot, and I will be referring to that in subsequent sections. So, and then World War II came in, and I would not be talking about that too much, but there was a time when again some economic depressions were, pocketed depression was there, and then but products linked with patriotism and those kind of things, they started coming in. You see, there have been eras along with the rise of this advertising or integrated marketing communication all through. There have been eras wherein specific modes have become popular because of their acceptance all through, and many a times specific subject areas have also become popular. For example, sometimes science, sometimes patriotism, sometimes sports, sometimes whichever way. So, and you see, then 60s to 70s world again, started passing through some peace things, basically industrial revolution, all along with advertising once again started rising in terms of consumption, and then consumption started supporting that, and advertising emerges as an icon of culture fascinated with consumption basically. So, there people were happy those days, those were the days of entertainment, songs, music, lots of entertainment, and advertising were also supporting that, and people were happy, departmental stores were opening up, and people used to go on weekends, and they were planning for and that was the time when 6 days working was being discussed about to be reduced to 5 days working. Many countries started that, and people started planning their holidays and so on, and advertising was all through. You are going to a departmental store, you are looking at a billboard, you have a newspaper, you have good television channels. Black and white TV was very common, colored was coming on. That was the time when it was just getting incepted and so on. So, it was vibrant. And then towards 80s, that was the time when women took a very specific role in the society. They always have played a specific role in the society, a very great and a contributive role, which has been acknowledged time and again. But that was the time when advertising and women being an icon focused within the advertisements was the main stay of that period basically. Advertising utilized women with as an iconic resemblance. So, women sportspersons, women homemakers, women office goers, women working class, all were shown in different kinds of advertisements, and that was the time. So, that is where women era started. Several products looking at this situation, they converted to their they changed their objectives towards focusing on women with their products as well. I remember a sports company specifically started focusing upon women, which was male dominated. I would not specifically go into that example and details, and there were channels which started focusing on women. There was entertainment and movies which became prominent with women related subjects and so on, and so that was the time when all these things they started coming up. Regulation also in US was becoming stronger, and Federal Trade Commission and National Advertising Review Board became active. Then came in the designers era, MTV, late night infomercials, and you see, MTV created a new kind of a thing basically for this period, wherein people were watching it, people were participating in that, and they were utilizing different kinds of messages to be infused within the channel and the whole scenario. And late night infomercial programs flowing in all through, they became specific programs educating customers about the products, and customers used to watch because they wanted to know about newer products and so on and whatsoever. And then e-revolution came in, wherein web revolution, web based advertising, and then somehow First, web based advertising started complementing the traditional advertising, and today we see that they web is actually leading the show basically. And that was the time which I should indicate that, because up till this time whole of the advertising world was being supported by several kinds of advertising agencies, and this was the time when they started becoming consolidated as far as their service orientation goes and so on. And 2000 onwards, consumer empowerment, branded entertainment, it got a huge speed or impetus, I should say, although as I said earlier also, with an exception of 2007, 8, 9 wherein recession came in and it affected whole of the world basically. But then again advertising and integrated marketing communication started bringing us all around, all out from there. So this is largely wherein lots of creativity was being brought in by integrated marketing communication all over the world. USA was leading, and Europe was also effectively participating in that, wherein consumer was being made part of the communication, and direct communication was being done between agencies and consumers, and sort of co-creation element came in. Co-creation is not only relevant for as far as products or services goes. Co-creation has been very prominent in terms of advertising and integrated marketing communication, wherein communication has been generated around consumer with the help of the consumer as such, and then direct communication has given a very strong impetus to this kind of methodology. So ads were mutually co-created, and so on. So, and this period specifically when this co-creation element started coming in, and digital media and especially mobile communication, internet, and these kind of things, they got they became large, they became very effective, they became the part of our daily lives. Today you would not find people without mobile phones. Today you would not find people not watching their mobile phones. Today you would not find people not watching whichever video is coming their way, and today you would not find any organization which does not have a specific data about what their customers are watching and when. Today you have such an interaction of the customer and the company through the agencies or the technological support which mobile communication and internet is providing, whichever way. For example, internet service providers and ad agencies, and all of them are working in coherence basically, and everyone knows what this specific customer is watching at this particular moment, and what should I be throwing at him right now. I told you once when I was talking about this earlier, keep your mobile phone beside you, keep saying specific words. Say Japan 5 times, 10 times, 12 times, 15th or 16th time you would have message related to Japan, you would have a video related to Japan, you would have an airlines which is telling you that direct flight from India to Japan is this. So that is how they are in touch with you. And if you are a loyal customer for a particular kind of a product, or a satisfied customer for a particular kind of product, and they already have your database and your profile with them, they know that if you are sticking with them or you are wandering off. How do they know? Because you are surfing through search engines, you are surfing through web platforms, you are searching through aggregators, you are searching through online shopping portals, and they immediately know where my customer is going. So just observe this, just see it happening around you, and I will be coming back to you with a short history of advertising in India, which is interesting, which is intriguing, because after that only we would be able to build up our perspective on how overall advertising through its historical development has been contributing in brand attitude and brand portfolio development. And also we would realize that how specifically now it is strategically used for this kind of a purpose. So, till then, goodbye, I will see you in next session.